Okay, this is lesson 34. This is a very basic lesson from back in the day. We're going to start looking at graphs. I want to make sure people know what they're doing, because there are some students who don't know what they're doing for whatever reason. Maybe they started math later or they weren't paying attention. So we're going to talk about plotting graphs, or plotting points on graphs, so that's the whole goal. So if you're good at this is going to be really easy. We're not going to spend too much time on this. Okay, so for the sake of our discussion, we have two axes. We have the x-axis and the y-axis. Okay, so turn to your neighbor and describe how you know which one's which, x-axis and y-axis. Go. Okay, thank you. So the x-axis goes left to right. Okay, on the x-axis, all the numbers that are on the left on the x-axis, these are all negative numbers. All the numbers on the right side of the x-axis are all the positive numbers. So on the y-axis, all the numbers that are on the top are positive, and all the numbers that are negative or on the bottom are negative. Okay, explain which way is positive and negative in each direction. Go. Talk to your neighbor. Make sure you're talking to your neighbor, not the people behind you. Jagger. Okay. Okay, so those are the axes, okay? And one more thing are the quadrants, okay? So the quadrant that's up here at the top right, that's quadrant 1. That's all the positive ones. Quadrant 2 is top left, and this is 3, and this is 4. Okay? That's all it is. You should memorize these, okay? So write these in your notes, please. The quadrants, just to remind yourself really quick. I'll give you about 15 seconds. Continuing on here. So I'm going to show you how to do. These are the steps, so I'm going to show you how to do it with these steps. So take a moment to write these down in your notes. Pause the video. So these are the steps. I'm going to move on. Numbers 1 and 2. Let me just show you what you need to do. So when you plot a point, you should all know how to do this already, but I'm just going to reteach you. These aren't too difficult, but I want you to focus on a couple of things. When you do your homework and you have to graph, you should use graph paper. Your graph paper will look like this if there is no x and y axis. So you have to use like a straight edge. You can use your ID card. It has a nice straight edge. So on number 1 it says graph negative 10 and 40. You have to make sense of your paper or create an environment. So with the draw an x-axis, draw a nice y-axis. Okay, put some arrows at the end to represent each. Okay, and go back just a tad. And we want to we want to look at the numbers. It says negative 10, 40, right? The biggest number is 40, right? Now, if I'm on the x-axis, am I going to go by ones like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? No, we're not, because there's not enough squares, right? You could do that, but if you want to use a huge piece of paper, right? So maybe you could go by 2s, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That still doesn't work. 5s, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. Oh, still doesn't fit. So maybe go by what? 10s could work, right? So 10s would definitely work. So whatever scale you use, you want to be consistent all the way around. So if you're going to go by 10s, you should go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, right? Now, a lot of students, they want to like write every number that's in going from 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, but you don't have to do that. You could just do just certain marks. You could be like, okay, I'm going to go by 10s, but this first mark that I'm putting here, instead of going like negative 10, negative 20, I'm just going to go straight to negative 20, because this is all it is negative 20, right? Can we assume this is negative 10 if it's here, if it's left blank? Can you assume that? Yeah, of course, because it's right in the middle. And I'll keep doing that, right? It just looks neater this way, instead of you having to write negative 10, negative 20, and it's faster. Okay, so I'm going to go all the way around writing my numbers. I'm going to go by 20s. Every 2 scores is 20. Okay. Right, do you think you could do that on your paper? Create a nice scale? Okay, good. And then, of course, now you have your scale. Now you can plot your point. This is the hardest, because students are like, oh, you have to make a decision on what scale you're going to use. Sometimes you go by 5, sometimes by 10s. It doesn't matter as long as you're consistent and it's accurate and precise. So negative 10, 40, we're going to go from the origin, which is 0, 0, we're going to go left 10, right? Because it's negative 10, and then up to 40. So we should have a point right there. And when we mark off the point, we're going to also describe what the point is. So this one's negative 1040. Okay, that's how you do number 1. Questions on number 1? You good? Number 2, same thing. We're going to plot 1/2 and 3/4. Is 1/2 and 3/4, are they those big numbers like 10 and 40, or are they small numbers? They're small, right? So you're going to still do an x and y axis on your paper using a straight edge, okay? And in this case, am I going to go by 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70? No. Okay? We're going to go smaller, right? Because we have 1/2 and 3/4. I know that like 1/2 is like saying 2/4 or 2/4, right? Like if I have half a dollar, it's like having 2/4. Okay, let me just work here and then I'll let you know what I'm going to tell you to do. You can answer questions after. Or ask questions after. Alright, so in this case we have squares here, so I'm not even going to go by ones. I shouldn't go by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because that's really irrelevant to my points, right? So I'm going to go by each square is going to be 1/4, right? Okay. So I'm going to go around making it consistent. So I'll put arrows everywhere on my axes so that I know they go on forever. Okay, and I'm putting a point here. So I know that each square is 1/4, so I'll start with right here. 2 squares is going to be how much? 1/2, right? So I'm going to put 1/2, and I'm using fractions because that's what I want to use since there's fractional coordinates, okay? So you see I'm going 1/2. 1, 1 1/2. What about this square that's right in the middle? What can we assume this is?
1/4.
1/4. Yeah, or 1/4. Yep. Okay. Now I'm going to do that all the way around. Right? Go a little faster here. Okay, now I'm all set up, right? So now I just go to my coordinates. Says the first number is 1/2. Starting at the origin, I'm going to go positive 1/2 on the x-axis. And the next number is 3/4. So from here, it's positive 3/4. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3/4. There should be a point right there. Okay, and now I'm going to identify what the point is with the coordinate so that I know what that was. Okay, that's it. Raise your hand if you've done this before. Okay, I know this is real basic. Okay, but honestly, if you can't get this basic skill down, you're going to fumble through this next part of our class. Okay, so let's have that concludes the lesson, but let's have you discuss this